summer. Pat Nunley, Baylor color analyst for basketball, joins us on 365 Sports. Pat, thanks for your time with Paul and Craig. David Smoke. What did Baylor do that flipped the switch, 4, 5, or 6 minutes into the second half? What did they start doing better, or did they start doing differently?
Well, they got stops. And we were saying throughout the broadcast, David, that, when you're down double digits, you can't just trade baskets. And that's all they were doing. And they couldn't gain ground. I mean, they get it to 8 here and there, but just couldn't get a stop. They get on a little run offensively, make a couple of threes, and get it under 10. But, I said a couple of times, Baylor was going to have enough offensive firepower to win that game. What they had to do was stiffen up on the defensive end, and they just did. I mean, it was like just flipping a switch. I mean, they were trading baskets until Baylor went on a 21-2 run to go up 78-70. And Texas went, let's see. So they had one field goal over the final 13 minutes until they got some undefended buckets, with less than a minute to play. But it was really, I think, Texas missing a few shots finally, and then Baylor really focusing on Max Asmus. And they weren't going to have a chance to win that game unless they could get him to just cool off and take some hard shots. He was making hard shots throughout the game, but you just wondered if he could sustain that. He's a scorer, and what a player he is. But I think that's it. They just finally found a way to get stops. And I think, too, they were dominant on the glass. They out-rebounded Texas 36-21. We're doing that. You got a chance.
Pat, they're hitting a stride at a good time right now as you head into the end of the conference season, into the conference tournament, and we're in March now. So this is the time to be finding yourself and finding your confidence. What do you attribute this latest run to? Because each game has been a little bit different, TCU, Kansas, and then Texas.
Yeah, I think it's that the younger guys who we're counting on a lot, and that's primarily Emisi and Jacoby Walter, are just maturing. And I think they have matured. Making that move from where they were a year ago to the Big 12 is a big move. I don't care who you are. And, Walter has continued to struggle shooting the ball. He made some big threes last night, but he's not shooting it all that well. And now I think he's just figured out how to score in the Big 12, and that's primarily getting to the line. And then Eve Misi, the progression of Misi in the last month has been off the charts. He is just starting to figure it out. He's played 2.5 years now, and he's starting to anticipate the game, understand the game. He looks confident. He's more assertive. And so those two guys who are getting a lot of minutes between them, I think have just started to figure out what it takes to win at this level.
Pat, hopefully the Bears have a bunch more games left to play, but one thing we do know is Jalen Bridges played his last game at Foster Pavilion, and it hasn't been around a while, but his last home game as a Baylor Bear, and what a way to go out, huh?
Yeah. I mean, can you have a better night than 32-9? He makes 6 of 7 threes, 8 of 11 overall, and he made 10 of 13 free throws, and he had a couple of steals. And he played all but, a minute and a half of that game. So he picked a good time because somebody had to negate the production from Asmus. Asmus had 33. And so somebody had to have that kind of night with a Baylor uniform on so that it wasn't just the Max Asmus show. And that guy was Jalen Bridges. And, we've seen that. He had 28 against Iowa State in the Big 12 tournament last year. So he's capable. But he just picked a really good night to have a career night, and that was it for him.
Pat, did they do anything differently with the zone with Asmus, or did they just get more energized and play smarter?
I think just the adjustments they made in the zone helped because think about it too. Dessou was not 100% last night. Even before he went out after he sprained his knee, he was playing with a bit of a stomach bug. We saw him in warm-ups, and he was pretty wobbly. And that's a guy that is he's probably their MVP because of what he does. He rebounds, he gets steals. He's a above 50% three-point shooter in the league. So they didn't have to worry as much about what was going to happen to them on the baseline. What they had to do was make sure that A-Smith didn't get open looks or really any looks for that matter at the 3-point line, and then keep those guards out of the lane. And they were very effective at doing that. And I think that zone does that for them. Baylor has not been a great on-the-ball perimeter defensive team. They just haven't been. And what that zone allows them to do is keep penetrating guards out of the lane. So I think it was a combination of making sure A-Smith didn't get good looks and keeping the ball out of the lane and just hoping that Texas front court couldn't beat them. And that was the case.
Pat, they've got Tech to end the season, and that's a tough place to play. But do you feel like this team has also maybe hit a stride because they can taste the end of the Big 12 season and are maybe looking forward to seeing somebody who they don't know?
Yeah, I think it's the best time of year for Baylor to go try to win a game in Lubbock. And Texas Tech is really good. I mean, Texas is, if they win this week, they've got Oklahoma State. They go to 10-7, and Baylor's at 11-6. And Tech is virtually a lock if they aren't already for the NCAA tournament. I mean, they're 20-9, and they're really, really good at home. Guys, is everybody in the league. So it's a good time to go try to win a game in Lubbock. And these guys, I don't think they really think about the difficulties of playing on the road. I think right now, having won 3 in a row, 2 at home, 1 on the road, they're just playing well. You know, I say all the time, and it's the truth, at this time of the year, you got to be confident, you've got to be playing well, and you have to be healthy. And I think they'll get love back on Saturday. And if that's the case, they're now fully loaded. And they are playing extremely well. So it's a good time to go to Tech and have a chance to win that game. And I like their chances.
What do you think about the combo? Although Yves Missi gets most of the attention, Josh, I thought last night had a couple of big moments in that game and what they bring to the table inside.
Yeah, I mean, he had 10 and 4, and he made all 4 of his shots. He made both of his free throws. And so those two guys, I mean, he played 15 minutes. Missi played 25 minutes. So that's about the breakdown of how they share the low post position. And Missi is the better offensive player, but Ojanwin is a little more experienced. I mean, now he's, again, still a really young guy, but he's starting to kind of figure it out, and he's making his free throws. You know, both of those guys are starting to make free throws. I mean, 3 for 4 for Missi. Ojanwin, again, 2 for 2. So he's been a really nice addition to this team. And they don't expect a lot from him in terms of offensive production. But if he can get 10 and 4, coupled with 7 and 8 from Missi, that's a lot of production from the low post. And that's huge. You know, Baylor has really not had, if you think about it, maybe going all the way back to FAUto, a guy in the low post who is a threat to score. You got to guard him down there. If you don't, more times than not, he's going to score on you. And that's been a welcome addition to this team. And it's a bonus. In fact, I don't know that they really expected that from Missi at this point in his career, but they're getting it from him.
Man, that opening dunk against Kansas lit the crowd up as if they needed help doing that. And coming off the tough ending against Houston where he was tossed around pretty good, he's just dripping with I don't want to say potential. He's dripping with being just an elite player, and I'm not sure if he'll be around for more than 1 year. So they are probably a 3 seed right now. Pat, they've never won the conference tournament. They won the national title and they got bounced out immediately. What are your thoughts about what do you need to see in Kansas City, or is that really just icing on the cake if they get there and go deep in that tournament?
Yeah, you know, that's a good question. And every year at this time, we all kind of wonder out loud if the Big 12 tournament really provides an upside for a Baylor, who's typically going to come in projected as a 3 seed or better, maybe a 4 seed. And, let me just put it this way. Coach Drew, in his entire career here, has said, we are playing for championships. I don't care what it is. If there's a championship at stake, we're giving it 1,000%. And that has been the case. And they win more championships than they lose, tournament championships, et cetera. So that's the mindset going in. But to answer your question, I don't think there's a big upside. I think, for example, if Baylor beats Tech on Saturday, that might even get them into a 2 seed. I've seen some bracketology experts say that Baylor could be, it is a projected 2 seed. So they're a safe 3 seed winning in Lubbock. Even if they don't, I don't think there's a lot of upside for them in the Big 12 tournament. Now, for some other teams that are on the bubble, different story. But for Baylor, I don't think that's the case. It doesn't mean they're going to go up there and lay an egg. They're going up there to win the whole thing. They've never done that. They've come close a couple of times. But I don't think it's going to change dramatically, if any, the projected seeding that they're looking at right now. And if they win Saturday, I don't think it's going to change a thing.
Thank you, Pat. Appreciate your time as always, Pat Nunley. Great job, color analyst, Baylor basketball after the win against now back-to-back at TCU, home against KU and also Texas. And right now, man, they were at 1 point 4-4 in the conference, and they got a nice little red-hot bullet going right now. By the way, Isabella is in the studio.